You might think that by now, scholars would have a clear answer to where the Japanese language came from. But the truth is, nobody knows for sure. It looks a bit like Chinese. It sounds a bit like Korean. But it's neither. And it doesn't neatly fit into any known language family. Despite decades of research, there's still no consensus on the origins of Japanese. It's one of those rare languages that seems to have just appeared. Some say it came from the Asian mainland. Others believe it's a mix of several ancient tongues. There are even theories suggesting it originated from an island in the Pacific Ocean. So, where did Japanese come from? Today, we're diving into one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in historical linguistics. Japanese is the primary language of the Japonic language family. This family also includes the Ryukyuan languages, spoken in the Ryukyu Islands, and the Hachijo language, often considered a dialect of Eastern Japanese. The Japonic language family is considered an isolated family. It has no proven relatives outside of itself. It's just out there, on its own. But of course, that hasn't stopped linguists from trying to trace its roots. Several theories have been proposed over the years. Some linguists point to Korean, noting grammatical similarities and proposing a genetic relationship. Others go further, grouping both under the now mostly abandoned Altaic hypothesis. There's even a theory linking Japanese to the Austronesian language family spoken widely across Southeast Asia and the Pacific. That's where the Pacific Island theory comes from. But today, let's focus on one of the most widely supported hypotheses. Not perfect, but probably the most compelling so far. Some scholars believe that the Japonic languages originated in southern or eastern China, then gradually spread northward to the Liaodong Peninsula. Around 1500 BC, these Japonic-speaking groups reached the Korean peninsula and blended with the local Mumin culture. Then, starting around 950 BC, they began migrating to the Japanese archipelago. These migrants are known as the Yayoi People. They brought wet rice agriculture, advanced tools, and their language, and they intermingled with the indigenous Jomon people who had lived in Japan for thousands of years. Over time, these two groups merged, forming the foundation of what we now recognize as the modern Japanese people. Around 300 BC, another group, this time Koreanic-speaking, migrated from Manchuria to the Korean peninsula. They coexisted with or assimilated the descendants of those earlier Japonic-speaking settlers. This period of contact likely caused the grammatical similarities we see today between Korean and Japanese, despite the two languages having very different vocabularies. In other words, they influenced each other, but they are not the same family. Their resemblance is the result of prolonged contact, not shared ancestry. But wait, what about Chinese? They use Chinese characters. Some words even sound similar, that's true. Japanese has borrowed a lot of vocabulary and writing conventions from Chinese. But those are loan words, not original components. Think of it like English borrowing heavily from Latin or French. It doesn't mean English comes from Latin or French. Same with Japanese. Chinese had a huge influence on vocabulary, writing, and culture. But the core of the language is something entirely different. Here's what we can say with some confidence. Modern Japanese likely developed from Japonic, brought by the Yayoi migrants from the Korean peninsula around 950 BC. Their language mixed with, or replaced, the languages spoken by the earlier Jomon people. But beyond that, we're mostly in the dark. There are no written records from that time, no bilingual inscriptions, no Rosetta Stone, just linguistic detective work and archaeological clues. So where does the Japanese language come from? The honest answer is we don't fully know. It could be a mixture. It could be the last survivor of a long-lost language family. Or it might be something totally unique, a linguistic mystery that refuses to be solved. And maybe that's part of the charm, that a language spoken by over 120 million people today still keeps its origins a secret.